The palace of Zurella was not built for humans. The ceilings stretched so high they vanished into shadows, and every wall shimmered with silver patterns that pulsed like living things. Guards in shining black armor stood at attention, their long spears crackling with blue energy. The air was heavy, almost like the space itself was watching. Captain Ryan Hale walked slowly down the grand hall. His boots echoed on the marble floor. He was the only human in sight, and every alien eye followed him. Some looked curious, others looked angry, as if his very presence was an insult. Ryan had been sent as an envoy, an ambassador, the Earth Council called it. But he knew the truth. The Zyrella Empire didn't want peace. They simply wanted to remind humans of their place in the galaxy, at the bottom. At the far end of the hall, on a raised platform of black crystal, sat Queen Leora. Her throne was carved from something that glowed faintly under her. She was tall, graceful, and impossibly still, her posture like a statue. Her skin was a soft, shimmering violet, and her long hair flowed over her shoulders like liquid silver. Her eyes, sharp, deep, and glowing faint gold, watched him with a gaze that could pierce armor. A court advisor stepped forward, his voice cold. "Captain Ryan Hale of Earth," he announced. "You stand before Her Radiance Queen Leora, ruler of Zyrella and protector of the 7 star systems. You will not speak unless spoken to. You will not approach without permission, and you will not, under any circumstances, look directly into the eyes of the Queen." Ryan paused. He had been briefed on this before arriving. In Zyrella culture, looking into the Queen's eyes without her consent was considered an offense worthy of execution. It was a sign of challenging her authority, something no alien would dare. He bowed slightly, as required, but when he straightened, he lifted his eyes and met hers. A ripple of shock moved through the court. Gasps echoed from every corner. The guards tensed instantly, their spears humming louder. The advisor's face twisted with outrage. Queen Leora's eyes narrowed, and her voice cut through the hall like ice. "How?" she said slowly. "Dare you even look at me?" Ryan could feel the weight of every eye in the room pressing on him, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he let a small, calm smile appear on his face. "Because," he said softly, "you're beautiful." The hall went silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Even the guards, ready to strike him down, seemed frozen. The court advisor's mouth hung open in disbelief. On Zyrella, beauty was not something spoken of lightly, certainly not by an alien, and certainly not about the Queen. Leora's expression didn't change, but Ryan thought, just for a second, that something flickered. In her golden eyes, a spark of surprise, or maybe curiosity. "You speak boldly for one so fragile," she said, her tone unreadable. "Fragile?" Ryan tilted his head. "Maybe, but Earth taught me something. When you see beauty, you don't pretend it isn't. There. You honor it." Another murmur spread through the court. Some aliens looked offended. Others looked at Ryan with interest. It was rare for anyone, especially a human, to speak so directly to the Queen. The advisor stepped forward quickly. "Your Radiance, this human is insolent. We should—" "Silence," Leora said, not looking away from Ryan. The advisor stopped. Instantly bowing his head, Ryan stood still, waiting. He knew he had crossed a line, but he had done it deliberately. He wasn't here to grovel. He was here to show that humans were not to be looked down on. Finally, Leora spoke again. "You defy the customs of my people," she said, "yet you do not seem afraid." Ryan's smile faded into a calmer, steadier expression. "Fear only matters when it stops you from doing the right thing. If respecting your rule means pretending I didn't notice the truth, then I can't follow that." Leora's gaze lingered on him. She was silent for a long moment, as if weighing something in her mind. Then she leaned back slightly in her throne. "Take him to the guest chambers," she ordered. The guards exchanged glances. "Your Radiance, the guest chambers?" One asked carefully. "Yes," Leora said. "He will remain there until I decide what to do with him." The guards lowered their weapons and gestured for Ryan to follow. As they led him away, he caught one last glimpse of the Queen. She was still watching him, her expression unreadable, but he thought, just for an instant, that there was the smallest hint of a smile. The guest chambers were not like any human room. The walls glowed faintly, and the floor felt soft under his boots, almost like walking on moss. There was a wide window that showed the city beyond, towering spires, glowing streets, and the dark curve of Zarella's moons. Ryan sat down on the strange low couch and let out a slow breath. He had survived the first meeting, barely. But more than that, he had seen something in the Queen's eyes, something that told him this wasn't over. She could have ordered him executed on the spot. Instead, she had kept him close. That meant one thing. For some reason, Queen Leora wanted to understand him, and Ryan intended to make sure she did. The soft glow of the guest chamber walls was strange and calming, but Captain Ryan Hale could not relax. Every sound in the palace felt loud, every shadow sharp. The distant hum of the city outside mixed with the palace's quiet whispers. He had been brought here after the meeting with Queen Leora. Instead of punishment, she kept him close. The meaning was clear. She wanted to understand him better. Ryan wondered what she saw in him. Was it courage, boldness, or something else entirely? Hours passed, and the heavy silence pressed on him. Then the doors slid open silently. A guard stood there, but not to escort him out. A servant appeared carrying a tray with food. The food looked strange, shiny fruits and soft, glowing liquids, but Ryan was hungry. "Eat," the servant said quietly, bowing. Ryan nodded and ate slowly. He thought about the Queen. She had not visited him, but her presence filled the palace like a shadow. The next morning, Ryan was led through long corridors by the same guard. They stopped before a heavy door carved with symbols that seemed to move and shift. The guard gave a sharp knock. Then the door opened. Inside was Queen Leora's private chambers. Leora sat on a high chair, different from the throne but still regal. She wore a simple silver dress that reflected the light softly. Her golden eyes were calm but curious. "Captain Ryan Hale," she said, voice gentle but strong. "You have survived the first test by looking into my eyes. Many before you have failed." Ryan bowed his head slightly. "I am honored, Your Radiance." She smiled briefly. "Honor is a strange thing. It means different things to different people. To my people, honor is obedience and respect for traditions. To yours? To Earth," Ryan said. "Honor means standing up for what is right, even when it is hard. It means telling the truth and recognizing beauty wherever it is." Leora's eyes studied him carefully. "Beauty? You spoke of that yesterday. It is not often heard in the halls of Zarella." Ryan met her gaze steadily. "Beauty is not just in appearances. It is in courage, kindness, and truth. You have all of these, Your Radiance." The Queen leaned forward, resting her hands on the arms of her chair. "You speak boldly, human. Why?" "Because I believe in seeing people as they are," Ryan said. "Not as what others say they should be." A long silence filled the room. Then Leora stood and walked slowly to a window. Outside, the twin suns rose over the city. Their light was soft and warm, casting long shadows over tall towers. "Have lived many years," she said quietly. "I have learned to trust few. Your people are strange to me, wild, unpolished, and loud. Yet you have a calm I did not expect." Ryan followed her gaze. "We are not perfect, Your Radiance, but we learn. We grow." The queen turned back, her eyes sharp. "You do not fear my people's anger? My council's judgment?" Ryan smiled. "Fear does not rule me. Respect does. I respect you, and I respect your people. I only ask the same in return." Leora's lips curved. "You are different from the humans I imagined." "Many are," Ryan said. "Just like many Xyrella are not what stories say." A knock interrupted them. The guard returned, bowing deeply. "Your Radiance, the council wishes to speak with you." Leora nodded and motioned Ryan to follow her. They entered a large hall filled with alien nobles dressed in rich fabrics and sharp armor. Their faces showed suspicion and disdain as they looked at Ryan. The council leader, a tall figure with silver hair and piercing blue eyes, stepped forward. "Your Radiance," he began. "This human's behavior is dangerous. He disrespected our laws. He must be punished." Leora raised her hand. "He has not broken my laws. He is here as a guest of the crown." Murmurs ran through the hall. The council members whispered among themselves, displeased. The leader narrowed his eyes. "Your Radiance, to ignore this insult weakens our rule. What message does it send to others?" Leora's gaze was firm. "That we are wise enough to see beyond old fears." Ryan stood quietly, feeling the tension. He understood the risk. If Leora lost this argument, he might be cast out or worse. The leader continued. "We suggest a test, a trial that will prove his loyalty and worth." Leora nodded slowly. "Very well. A trial it shall be." Ryan's heart quickened. He knew trials were dangerous, designed to break spirits and bodies. The council murmured approval. Leora looked at Ryan with something like respect. "You will face the trial of honor. It is the greatest test in Xyrella. Survive it, and you will earn a place here. Fail, and, well, you understand." Ryan met her eyes without fear. "I will do my best, Your Radiance." Leora's lips lifted in a faint smile. "I believe you will." As Ryan left the hall, the weight of the challenge pressed on him. The trial would push him to limits he had never known. But he also saw hope, a chance to prove that humans were more than what the galaxy thought. The day of the trial of honor arrived quickly. Captain Ryan Hale stood before the ceremonial arena, a vast open space carved into the heart of the palace. Towering walls surrounded the field, etched with glowing symbols that pulsed softly in the morning light. The air buzzed with anticipation. Alien spectators from across Xyrella gathered high above, their voices low murmurs that rose and fell like distant thunder. Ryan's heart beat fast. He had faced danger before, but this trial was different. It was not just about strength. It was about proving himself worthy in the eyes of the queen and her people. Queen Leora sat on a high dais overlooking the arena. Her violet skin seemed to glow under the sun's light, and her golden eyes watched him closely. She wore a deep blue robe trimmed with silver threads that shimmered with each movement. The trial would test three things: courage, wisdom, and mercy. The first challenge was a test of courage. A large gate at the far end of the arena opened, revealing a massive creature. It looked like a cross between a lion and a dragon, with scales that glimmered green and eyes that burned like embers. The beast growled and charged forward. Ryan had no weapon, only his training and his quick mind. The creature lunged, and Ryan rolled to the side just in time. He ran across the field, dodging sharp claws and heavy tail strikes. Every breath was heavy, every movement urgent. But Ryan noticed something strange. The creature did not attack to kill. It seemed to test him, to see how he would react. When the beast charged again, Ryan stopped and stood his ground. He raised his hands slowly, showing he meant no harm. The creature hesitated, then stopped. Its eyes softened, and it lowered its head. The crowd gasped. Queen Leora smiled faintly. The first challenge was passed. The second test was wisdom. Ryan was led to a complex puzzle carved into the stone floor. Hundreds of glowing tiles formed a pattern. The goal was to step on the tiles in the right order to unlock the next gate. The puzzle was confusing. Some tiles flashed with bright light, others with dark shadows. Ryan studied the pattern carefully. He realized the puzzle was based on balance, light and dark, strength and weakness. He stepped on a bright tile, then a shadowed one. The pattern shifted, and the tiles glowed in response. Step by step, he moved carefully, using logic and patience. The puzzle's final piece clicked, and the gate slid open with a deep rumble. The crowd cheered. Leora's eyes shone with approval. The last challenge was mercy. Behind the final gate was a smaller, injured creature. It looked weak and frightened. Nearby, a weapon lay ready, deadly and sharp. The trial expected Ryan to kill the creature. Proving his strength and resolve, Ryan looked at the beast's eyes. They held fear, but also trust. He knelt down and touched its head gently. The crowd gasped again. Leora's lips curved in a smile. Ryan chose mercy. He carried the creature out of the arena, showing it to the crowd. The queen stood and applauded. "You have passed the trial of honor," she said, her voice loud and clear. Ryan bowed deeply. The court cheered. That night, in the quiet of his guest chamber, Ryan thought about the trial. He had proved more than strength or skill. He had shown the heart of a human. A message was clear. Sometimes courage was kindness. Sometimes wisdom was patience. Sometimes honor was mercy. He knew the queen was watching, learning from him as much as he was learning from her. For the first time, Ryan felt the cold walls of the palace had a crack, a place where trust might grow. The palace was quieter than usual, but the air was thick with tension. Since Captain Ryan Hale had passed the trial of honor, whispers had spread through the halls like wildfire. Some nobles respected him, others hated him. To many, a human earning. A place in the queen's favor was a dangerous threat. Queen Leora felt the weight of their eyes every time she walked the corridors. Her advisors watched her closely, waiting for a mistake. The council had not forgotten the bold insult of Ryan looking directly into her eyes. One evening, as the twin moons cast silver light over the palace, a shadow moved unseen. In the great hall where the queen often held court, the lamps flickered. A figure slipped silently through the corridors, hiding behind pillars and tapestries. The attacker moved fast, with the skill of a trained assassin. His target was clear: Queen Leora. Captain Ryan was nearby, waiting for a meeting with the council. He noticed something was wrong before anyone else. A faint sound, almost a whisper, caught his attention. He turned quickly and saw a shadow dart toward the queen. Without thinking, Ryan acted. He rushed forward, blocking the attacker's blade with his arm. The blade cut deep, but Ryan held firm. The guards reacted instantly, surrounding the attacker and forcing him down. Queen Leora stared in shock, her golden eyes wide with surprise. Ryan looked down at his wounded arm but kept his face calm. "You saved me," she said quietly. Ryan nodded. "I could not let harm come to you." The council arrived moments later. The attacker was unmasked. A noble from a rival house, jealous of the queen's power and angry about the human's influence. The council tried to blame Ryan for the chaos, claiming his presence caused disorder. But Queen Leora stood firm. "He acted to protect me," she said. "Not as a threat, but as an ally." The nobles grumbled, but dared not argue. Later, in the queen's private chambers, she tended Ryan's wound herself. Her touch was gentle, but sure. "Why did you risk your life for me?" she asked. Ryan looked into her eyes, his own steady and true. "Because you matter," he said simply. Leora was silent. She had never heard such honesty. It moved something deep inside her. That night, the queen lay awake, thinking about the strange human who dared to look at her, and then to save her. Her advisors warned her to keep him away. But Leora felt a new feeling, something like trust. For the first time, she wondered if humans were more than the stories told, and maybe, just maybe, they could change her world. The peace in the palace was shattered one morning by a distant alarm. Red lights flashed, and the walls vibrated with urgent messages. The Xyrella Empire was under threat. A vast alien fleet, unknown and hostile, approached their star systems, with weapons ready. Queen Leora stood on the balcony of her throne room, staring at the dark shapes moving in space. Her golden eyes were sharp with worry. "This fleet means war," she said quietly to her council. The nobles murmured in fear and anger. Many wanted to send a message of power, strike first and hard. Others argued to evacuate the planets and save themselves. But Queen Leora's gaze found Captain Ryan Hale among the crowd. "You," she said. "What do you advise?" Ryan stepped forward calmly, the injury from the earlier attack still fresh on his arm. "Your radiance I have studied, many battle tactics from Earth's history and modern times. I believe we can use their weakness against them. Surprise and teamwork." The council scoffed. "A human thinks to teach us war?" Ryan met their scorn with steady eyes. "I do not ask to teach. I offer to help. Our forces can combine your strength and our tactics." The queen nodded slowly. "We have little choice. Prepare the fleet for joint command." Over the next hours, Ryan worked with Xyrella commanders. Their ships were powerful, built with advanced weapons and armor. But their battle plans were rigid, based on tradition and pride. Ryan suggested faster strikes, surprise attacks, and flexible defenses. Some commanders grumbled, but the threat was real. They followed his lead. When the alien fleet entered Xyrella's space, the battle began. Huge starships clashed in the void, lasers cutting through darkness, explosions lighting the sky like fireworks. Ryan coordinated strikes from the command ship, while Queen Leora led her own flagship into the fray. The enemy was strong and relentless, but the combined forces moved like a single unit, striking where least expected. At one point, a massive enemy ship aimed to destroy the Queen's flagship. Ryan saw it too late to warn her. Without hesitation, he piloted a smaller fighter between them and took the full attack. His ship shook, alarms blaring, but the enemy fire broke apart before reaching Leora's ship. The Queen's voice came over the comms. "You risked yourself for me again." Ryan smiled through the chaos. "Because you matter." The battle was long and fierce, but the humans' tactics and Xyrella's power combined to push the enemy back. When the last enemy ship fled, the fleet cheered. The victory was hard won, but it saved the Empire. Back on the palace, Queen Leora looked at Ryan with new respect. "You have done more than survive," she said. "You have saved my people." Ryan shook his head. "We saved each other." But not all were happy. Some nobles whispered that relying on a human was a sign of weakness. Leora ignored them. She knew something had changed in her heart. And in her empire, humans were no longer strangers. They were allies, and perhaps something more. The great hall of the Xyrella Palace was filled with light and sound. The people had gathered to celebrate the victory over the enemy fleet. Flags waved, music played, and voices cheered. But all eyes were on Queen Leora and Captain Ryan Hale. Today was not just a victory celebration. It was a moment of change. The Queen stood tall on her throne, her violet skin glowing softly in the sunlight. Her golden eyes shone with pride and warmth. Beside her stood Ryan, the human who had dared to look into her eyes, who had risked everything to save her people, and who had passed every test with honor and heart. Leora raised her hand, and the crowd fell silent. "Today," she began, "we honor a warrior, a friend, and an ambassador. Captain Ryan Hale has proven himself worthy of the highest honor my people can give, a place among us as honor-bearer." The crowd erupted in applause. Some stood, others bowed deeply. Ryan stepped forward, bowing respectfully. "Thank you, Your Radiance. I am honored beyond words." Leora smiled. "You have earned more than honor. You have earned trust." As the ceremony ended, Ryan prepared to leave. His mission was done. Earth awaited his return, but before he could walk away, Leora stopped him. "Captain," she said softly, "there is something more I must say." Ryan turned, surprised. "From the moment you looked at me, you changed the way I see the universe." Her eyes searched his. "I once believed humans were reckless, weak, and beneath notice. But you have shown me courage, wisdom, and kindness beyond any ruler I have known." Ryan smiled gently. "And you have shown me strength, grace, and honor beyond any queen I have met." Leora stepped down from her throne and approached him. The crowd held their breath. "How dare you even look at me?" she whispered, echoing her first words. Ryan smiled, the same small smile he gave months ago. "Because," he said, "you're beautiful." A quiet laughter spread through the hall. The queen took his hand, holding it firmly. "This is only the beginning," she said. Together, they looked out at the crowd, two leaders from different worlds united by respect and a shared future. The galaxy would remember this day, not for war, but for the courage to see beauty where others saw division, and for the promise of a new alliance, born not just from necessity, but from understanding and hope.